Well over a decade ago, Billy Davis Jr. faced a battle against cancer that he has continued to win. He and his wife, Marilyn McCoo, are here to share that journey with us today. Welcome, guys.
Thank you so much.
Thanks
We're
for
so
having
happy
us.
to be here.
I have loved the two of you since Fifth Dimension days.
Thank you.
We've had the opportunity to do some television together before.
Yes, we have.
And
Yes, yes.
it's such a joy to have you here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure to see you again.
Yes.
Now, you guys were working together before you got together as a couple, correct?
Yes, actually,
Yes, we were, but it wasn't that long.
Just a little bit?
About a couple of years.
A couple of years,
Couple of
okay.
years.
Right,
It wasn't
right.
love at first sight.
no.
Oh,
That surprises me because
no,
she's
no.
so pretty.
I know it. I know it. I know it. I know it. But
I kept trying to tell him that, but he didn't want
He
to. hear it.
wasn't listening. Huh?
my brain was somewhere else.
Yeah.
It didn't come together until a couple of years later.
But you know, actually, it was better that way because we became friends first.
Yes.
Good.
And
right.
we really believe that that was the secret to
The hallmark of a great
longevity
marriage.
of our
Yes,
relationship.
that's right.
Is a good friendship
And not only
first.
that, we've carried that friendship all the way through all of this marriage.
That's the key.
Well, what happened for you to think that maybe there could be more than a friendship there?
Well, that's a long story. We don't have that much
Okay.
time.
Well, it did take 2 years to come to that conclusion,
right.
so I can
Took 2
see.
years, that's right.
Well, we would ride to rehearsal together.
Yeah.
And we would just talk about life, talk about our, what had happened in our own lives, and then what was happening in the world, and we just found that we thought alike.
Yeah.
And I was impressed because Billy would talk to me about what he felt about how people should get along and relationships, and I thought,
Wow.
I never thought I'd ever meet a man that thought like that.
Yeah.
But I'm not interested in him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I don't know what it was. I probably look like a bum to her or something like that. But
I doubt that entirely. I do.
But Marilyn was she was nice and sweet, and she was just at that particular time in my life. She wasn't my type. You know what
Yeah.
how your guys are looking at people.
Yeah, you got to type you.
It took a little couple of years for that to come around. You know.
To realize your type was the wrong type.
Yes, my type.
Better
The
get the
type,
right
that
type.
the type that I thought I wanted. That wasn't it.
It was not.
No,
it was
that
not the
wasn't
right
it,
type. No. I know you've had your challenges through the years too, like any
Yes.
other couple. And one of those challenges came with a diagnosis of prostate cancer for you. Is that right?
Yes, that's right.
Tell me about that day.
That was one of the major challenges, I would say, because it's so funny. The day I discovered it, the doctor called me, and I thought it was after a routine checkup.
Yeah.
I thought he was just calling me to give me the good news.
The good news.
Yeah, about how
never
well
just
I was
call, give
doing
good
and
news.
all. And then when he told me I had prostate cancer, I was quite naturally, anybody who thinks about cancer right away is devastated.
Yeah.
I was right away. I'm,
It's
I got
over.
cancer, I'm gonna die. And that's not always the case.
No.
It's but then I was a little hesitant about telling Marilyn now.
Well, how long have you been married by that time? I mean, you just recently
We've been
celebrated
married-
47 years, but
Right. Let's see. It was in '99. So we had been married 30 years.
Okay.
30
at that
years.
time.
Yeah.
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 And so I said, I got to go ahead and tell my wife I got prostate cancer, And so, but anyway, I knew I couldn't hold it off. I had to tell her. She wanted to know what the doctor
You're
said.
going to figure this out.
well, why didn't
Yeah.
you want to tell her?
I wanted to tell her I was great.
But why didn't you want to tell her?
Because nobody wants to tell somebody that they got cancer.
In addition to which,
Right.
I had lost 2 uncles
Yeah.
to prostate cancer.
I can.
And Billy had been through that with me.
Okay.
And so now he has to turn around and tell me that he has prostate
Yeah.
cancer.
Right.
But the doctor had told him that his PSA level was high.
Okay.
And so they were going to do further tests
Right,
to
right.
find out. And so I was really, I was wondering.
Yeah.
Because I know that, I knew a little bit about prostate cancer, and I knew that if the PSA level was high,
Yeah,
that there
there's
had to be a
danger.
reason for it.
Yeah.
And if he came back and said that it was okay and that he didn't have it, then I would be worrying about, well, maybe you missed it.
Yeah. That's
Maybe
right.
the areas that you checked didn't lead you to the right place.
But now, when you found
Yeah.
out that it was cancer, how did that affect you? Since you've had uncles that had the disease.
Yes. Well, the first thing I thought was, I'm going to lose my husband.
Yeah.
And so I thought, oh gosh, you hear cancer, you think death.
Yeah.
And so then it was like the Lord calmed me down, And he placed in my heart, well, cancer doesn't always mean death. It means, you know, you have to move on it. And I knew that when my uncles died, it was because they had not done anything about it. They had denied it, they had ignored it. And I felt like, well, if Billy has prostate cancer, we're going to move on this
Going to do something.
quickly.
Make sure he takes
Yeah.
it.
Exactly.
One of the things about guys from the old school, they just don't want to do anything about
It's true.
their health.
Yeah.
You know, they can be walking around with it and know it and still won't do anything. You know, it's I don't know what kind of mentality that is, but it exists. You know.
How long was it before you said the PSA level was high? How long was it before you found out it was high to when the diagnosis was made? Was it short
Well, actually,
time or
one
long
time when I had an exam, my PSA was up around 11.
11.
Yeah. And then the next time it shot up to about 18.
When was the
Yeah.
next time? Was it like shortly thereafter? How long did you
No.
live with this uncertainty?
Well,
3 years.
Maybe about
3
3
years?
years. Yeah, right.
Well, we were in Chicago in 1996, and the doctor had called from LA and said, I think you need to go and have a biopsy because your PSA level is a little high.
Yeah.
So Billy went to a doctor in the Chicago area, and the biopsy experience was awful.
Yeah,
Oh, really?
It was
that was one of
painful.
the worst treatments I'd had
Yeah.
as far as getting a biopsy in my life, you know. And so I didn't want to get another one because that's how bad that one was.
Yeah.
And so when I went to the doctor that really performed the surgery on me, he said, Billy, you know, that biopsy treatment shouldn't have been that bad.
Yeah.
He said, things that we got nowadays, it's not that bad. So you have no fear, I guarantee you. So I'm not afraid of that kind of stuff anyway, but I'm afraid more of cancer than I am getting a little biopsy, you know. So I tried it again, and he didn't find anything.
Yeah.
And then he said, well, wait a minute, let me go around on the backside.
Yeah.
That's where it was
That's
at.
where it was. Okay.
It was
That's
hiding.
where it was at. See, a lot of times
Yeah.
they just hit from one or two areas, but then he went around and behind it and hit it, and that's where it found it.
Yeah.
And so right away,
You started considering some treatment options then?
Yes, I did.
yes,
I
what
did.
were those
But
options?
Marilyn went into action right away.
Yeah.
She went.
So what we're
oh,
going to do?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, we went in and talked to Billy's doctor, and he's a surgeon. And so we said, okay, what are our options? And he said, well, surgery and radiation and the Cs.
Well,
And
not
so,
very many options.
well, yes, at that time there
particular
was three
time,
options.
That
So
was
what
it.
sounded good
Right.
to
And
you?
it was early, you know, so
Yes.
Okay.
so he was suggesting those things. And of course, he's a surgeon. He said, surgeon's your best option.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
course.
Right.
So
right.
then we said, okay, well, you are a surgeon. And he
Yeah.
said, well, yes, you should go and speak to
Yeah.
a radiation specialist.
Yeah.
And
Well,
we
one
did
of
that.
the things when he said a surgeon, you know, right away you know that's cutting.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to be cutting.
Yeah,
You
yeah, I
know,
don't
I said,
blame
well, wait, that's the last thing. These seeds sound okay. You know, radiation.
Is that the treatment you chose? Was the seeds?
No.
You did radiation?
No.
You did surgery?
No. I opted for the surgery
Okay.
because the Holy Spirit said to have the surgery.
Well, then that's what you did.
And then, you know, the Holy Spirit said have the surgery. I'm gone.
Well, right now, someone's telling me to take a break. It's not the Holy Spirit. Someone's telling me to take a break, so we're going to follow that voice anyway. All right, and we'll be back with more right after this. Were you having any symptoms before your cancer was diagnosed?
No.
No symptoms whatsoever. As you even looking back at it?
No, I was feeling very normal. I mean, I was going on with my career the way that with life as usual.
But it was found with the blood test first.
It was found with the blood test
The
and,
PSA.
and the PSA test, and then once my PSA shot up to 18, then
it's time to do something.
It's time to do
Yeah,
something about
sure.
it.
All
Right,
right.
right.
Well,
But one of the major
go ahead.
one of the major problems that I had a major problem with was that after I had my surgery, I found out that nobody would talk about it. No men. Men don't talk about this particular problem.
True.
And that's a major problem right there because we should start sharing this with our young men
Yeah.
for early detection right away.
You're absolutely
You know,
right.
when we find out that we have this type of problem going on, after my surgery, I would tell somebody, well, I had the surgery, and then they tell me, well, yeah, I had the surgery myself. What?
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
You didn't tell me.
You
You
didn't
didn't say it.
and you've been
Yeah.
doing them for years.
All right, we're going to take a break right now. Maybe We are talking about a topic that men do not like to talk about, and that is prostate cancer. And Billy, you found that to be a problem in your experience. You had the surgery and then found out other people you knew had the surgery and no one had told you.
Yes, yes.
So are you starting to talk to men about this?
Oh yeah. I mean, the day I came out of surgery, when the young man came in my room, he was doing something in the room.
He was emptying the trash.
Emptying the trash. Emptying the trash, and I said to him, I say, "Excuse me." I said, "You know why I'm laying up here in this bed?" And right then, I started talking about it to him, and I've been talking about it to young men ever since.
So you are a rare but a special man to do that, because it takes a man to talk about those things.
Well, I went on television right after that. What show we did?
The
Today Show.
Yeah, talking about
And
this.
started talking about it. I'd been out, about 2 weeks?
Well, it was early. It was definitely early.
Good for you.
I had a question for Dr. Michelle. I wanted to ask you, have you found that that there is more of an incidence of prostate cancer in the African American community?
The answer is absolutely. It's actually multifactorial there as well, which is that an African American man has a higher incidence of developing prostate cancer, and unfortunately, they have a higher incidence of developing more aggressive prostate cancers. So not only do they have a higher likelihood of developing cancer, it tends to be much more virulent. Now, couple that with either access to health care or the willingness to actually go and get screened, which has been typically lower in the African American population, which means that men are getting screened later, but they're at a higher risk of developing aggressive prostate cancers.
Yeah. Well, that was another reason why Billy wanted to go out and speak to people and speak to the African American community as well, to show the men that if you catch it early, you can go on and have a good life,
Have a good life.
a healthy life.
So what is that age again that you recommend starting screening at?
So when you take
Billy, your message to young men,
It's early detection. Make sure that you have yourself checked.
and for men who've been through this,
Talk about it.
talk about it.
Talk about it.
Marilyn?
I just want to say to the wives and the mothers, the sisters, support the man, make sure he goes and gets it checked, and then support him in whatever decision he makes.
Thank